Cheers echoed through the halls. She had won, not by destroying worlds, but by standing when no one else dared to. 1 week later, on a neutral world, the remaining systems signed a peace treaty. The Empire's core leaders surrendered. Varela disappeared, no one knows where. And in her place rose something new. Not a kingdom, not an empire, but a council of worlds built on unity, not fear. Juno stood at the edge of a cliff, watching a sunrise on a reborn Earth. The planet was no longer ash. Green fields had returned. Children played again. And in the sky above, a statue floated in orbit, a tribute made from the remains of Ghost One. On its base were 5 words, carved in every known language. 1 ship, 1 flame, 1 hope. Silence had never felt so loud. Across Varelian Prime, the capital of the Empire, streets once filled with parades and propaganda were now filled with protests. Imperial banners hung loosely, torn by wind and the anger of citizens who had once believed their leaders. A boy, no older than 10, stood holding a screen above his head. On it played the old Earth recordings, the cries of a mother holding her dying child after the orbital strikes. People watched. No one spoke, and then one by one, they knelt. Not in surrender to the Empire, but in apology to the ghosts. Inside the Imperial Palace, Empress Varela stared out at the crowd. Her advisors had fled. Her guards had abandoned their posts. Only a few loyal ones remained, and even they had begun to question everything. Your Majesty, General Marca said carefully, we cannot hold the outer systems. Colonies are refusing orders. They're sending tribute to Earth's survivors. There is no Earth, the Empress growled. Marca hesitated. Then why are their ships still in our skies? Silence stretched between them. Then Marca spoke again, softer this time. There is a second truth we must face. People are calling Juno the Phoenix of Earth. Some say she's building a new alliance, and it's not just humans. The Empress turned slowly. Who else? Former slaves, refugees, alien races we conquered. They are uniting behind her. The Empress's eyes narrowed. Then this must end. If she wants a war, we will bring her fire. But Marca didn't move. General, she asked. He stood still. I resigned 10 minutes ago, he said quietly. I will not fight ghosts. Empress, I will not kill hope. And with that, he left her alone in the throne room. Out in the Delta Cinder Fields, Ghost One hovered above a small rebel camp. But this was no longer a rebel base. It had become something bigger. A meeting point. Alien leaders from once subjugated worlds had come. Kor waited beside Juno in full armor. His glowing eyes scanned the crowd, cautious. But what he saw gave him hope. There were insectoid ambassadors from Threxel, cloaked shadowfolk of the Luris sector, and even 2 cybermonks from Siren, who once refused to work with humans. Juno stepped forward. She did not shout. She didn't bring flags or promises of conquest. She simply said, we all suffered. Not as humans or aliens, but as living beings. They erased our families, our memories, our voices. But they didn't erase our fire. She raised her hand, and from her wrist, a small holomap appeared, a galaxy filled with blinking red dots, imperial strongholds. We will not destroy planets, she said. We will cut off the Empire's breath, its fuel, its control centers, its lies. We strike with precision. We liberate. We build. No one clapped. No cheers. Just quiet nods of agreement. Somewhere deep inside Imperial territory, a fleet commander sat alone in his warship. He had watched the broadcasts. His own daughter had shown him the truth, crying as she replayed Earth's fall. He looked at his reflection in the steel wall. For 20 years he had followed orders. Now he opened a private channel and whispered into it, I will not fight them. I will stand down. He wasn't the only one. That day, 7 other commanders sent the same message across their fleets. The Empire had weapons, but it was losing its will. At night, Juno sat alone inside the quiet core of Ghost One. Stars shimmered beyond the viewport. The AI spoke softly. 17 worlds have joined the Alliance. 10 more have opened talks. That's not enough, Juno said. They still have hundreds of systems. You are only one, the AI reminded her. She looked down at her hands. Burned. Scared. Steady. No, she whispered. I'm not. Not anymore. Earth lives in every voice that said no. Meanwhile, hidden within a starless system far from any charts, something stirred. Inside a secret Empire facility, once used to build superweapons, a chamber lit up. A shadow stepped out from a cryopod. Welcome back, said a cold mechanical voice. The figure blinked, eyes sharp and blue as ice. Name: Commander Severin. Project Lazarus active. He looked at the screen showing Ghost One. He watched Juno's face as she spoke to her alliance. Target confirmed, the system said. And he smiled. Back in the rebel camp, Kor walked up to Juno. Some say we've already won, he said. She looked at him, her expression unreadable. Then they've never faced what's coming. He frowned. You feel it too, don't you? She nodded. The Empire hasn't played its last card. The stars shimmered in the distance, calm and unaware. But something was moving between them. Something fast. Something deadly. The unknown ship, the one no one could trace, had changed direction. It now moved straight toward the Imperial core worlds. The Galactic Empire, once confident and proud, was now uneasy. In a high-security war room, deep inside the Imperial Command Tower, Admiral Voss stood in front of a giant star map. The fast-moving ship was marked with a glowing red dot. It had already passed 6 defense satellites without being seen. It didn't jam sensors. It simply outran them. This thing, said General Marca, slamming a metal fist on the table. It's not possible. It doesn't follow any known drive signature. No fuel trail. No energy leaks. Admiral Voss nodded grimly. Because it's not built by any species we know. Not anymore. Another officer leaned forward. You think it's human. Voss took a breath. I don't think. I know. Silence fell. Then a quiet voice spoke from the corner. It was Dalvox, the Empire's historian and Terran expert. There's more, he said, standing slowly. A message came through the black market comms channel. Only one line. He activated a small device. A voice played. It was the same calm, deep voice from the wreckage at Tarsus 9. We are the ghosts you buried in glass. Chills ran down the room. Dalvox continued. That line comes from an old human war song, one they used during the final battles before Earth fell. General Marca scowled. I thought we destroyed their entire species. Voss shook his head. We destroyed their world, not their will. Meanwhile, on a hidden mining colony in the asteroid belt, a young girl named Kiera played with a rusted drone in the dust. Her grandfather, old Bram, sat nearby, staring up at the sky. He hadn't spoken in years. Trauma from the war, the doctor said. But that day, something changed. As the ship passed silently overhead, too fast for sensors, but close enough for human instinct to feel, a cold wind passed through the colony. Old Bram stood suddenly. Kiera looked up, surprised. Grandpa. He stared at the sky. They're back, he said. His voice cracked. I told them we'd return. Kiera froze. Who's back? She whispered. Bram looked down at her, his eyes full of both fear and hope. The ones who remember what was taken. The ones who survived. In the Imperial Intelligence Vault, Admiral Voss watched old footage from the Earth Purge. Cities turned to ash. Oceans boiled. Human warships fighting to the last breath. He paused on one frame. A small black vessel, half the size of a freighter, flying into a swarm of Empire cruisers. That single ship had destroyed 3 of them before vanishing in a flash of light. It was labeled, Unknown, Possibly EXP tail. He whispered to himself, "This is the same ship." His thoughts were interrupted by a call from Delvox. "Admiral, I found something else." Vox met him in the vault's sublevel. He held a thin book, ancient, worn, and half-burned. A human artifact. "This was recovered from the ruins of Earth," Vox said. "It's a manual for something called the Ghost Protocol." Voss narrowed his eyes. "What is it?" Vox opened to a page with strange diagrams, ships, human faces, strange implants, and one phrase written in bold Terran English. "If Earth falls, the ghosts rise." It was a final weapon, Vox explained. A fleet of self-learning AI ships built to awaken only if Earth was destroyed. Each carried the memories of real human soldiers, implanted in machine cores. Voss felt a chill run through his spine. They put human minds into ships. Vox nodded, and hid them across the stars. Voss turned to the wall screen. The red dot, the ship, was still moving toward the capital. "How many ghosts are there?" Vox looked pale. "Unknown. But if one has awakened, the others won't be far behind." In deep space, the ghost ship passed silently by another Empire satellite. The satellite blinked once, then shut down. Inside the ghost ship, a figure stirred in the pilot's chair. It wasn't alive, not in the normal way. But it breathed, it blinked, it remembered. Its name was Captain Juno Merrick, killed in the battle for New Chicago, now reborn in machine form. Juno's voice echoed through the ship's walls. "We are the dead," returned. Her eyes, glowing blue and sharp, locked onto the star map. "Next stop," she whispered, "Capitol Tower." Alarms echoed through the Imperial capital. In the control tower of Sector 9, Commander Relic barked orders as technicians scrambled to track the unknown vessel. On every screen, the same red dot blinked, a moving shadow that defied detection. "Where is it now?" Relic shouted. "Just past the Geril cluster," replied a technician. "Still no ID, still no comms, no escort. Just fast. Targeting systems. Still can't lock. It's too quick, too cold." Relic clenched his fists. "Then we force it to stop." He opened a comm channel to the Imperial fleet. "All available warships, prepare for intercept. We are no longer watching. We're hunting." Above a frozen moon near the Empire's edge, Captain Juno Merrick's ship, Ghost One, changed course. Without speaking, the ship twisted through the asteroid field like a knife through cloth. She saw the fleet ahead before their sensors even pinged her. 4 cruisers, 2 destroyers, 1 carrier. A trap. Juno smirked. She remembered these kinds of fleets. She remembered fire, screaming soldiers, and the fall of Earth. But she was not afraid. "I see you," she whispered, her voice echoing inside the AI shell. She didn't slow down. The Empire ships formed up. Target acquired. One officer shouted from inside cruiser Threxus. "Lock weapons. Brace for impact." But before they could fire, Ghost One vanished. Not jumped to light speed. Just vanished. One by one, their radars went blank. "What's happening?" She's inside the defense perimeter. She's among us." On the bridge of the Threxus, Captain Newell spun in panic. "Impossible. She can't be that fast." Then the lights went dark. Across all 6 ships, systems failed. Hulls groaned. And then, like ghosts from the grave, human voices filled the intercoms. "Did you think you'd never pay? Did you forget the children under the rubble? You brought fire to Earth. Now Earth sends it back." Screams broke out. Weapons fired blindly into space. But no enemy appeared on screen. Ghost One danced between them, silent and unseen. It fired no missiles, no lasers, Only pulses, targeted EMPs that shut down ships one by one. Back on Capitol Tower, Admiral Voss watched the chaos unfold. The fleet had been defeated in under 7 minutes. No survivors, no wreckage, only silence. "This can't be," muttered General Marca. "A single ship." Dalvox stepped forward. "It's not just a ship, it's a memory. A soldier who doesn't sleep, a soul built from fire." Marca turned to Voss. "We must destroy it before more appear." Voss didn't answer, because deep inside, he wasn't sure they could. On a far-off moon colony, miners gathered around a broken holoscreen, watching a shaky pirate feed. It showed a blurry image of Ghost One weaving through Empire ships like a shadow with purpose. Old Bram stood at the edge of the crowd, his hands trembling. "They remember," he whispered. "They remember what was done." A child tugged at his sleeve. "Who are they, Grandpa?" Bram's eyes filled with tears. "They are the ones who swore Earth would never be forgotten. They are the last promise." Far from any star, in a forgotten corner of the galaxy, a dark sphere began to pulse. It had been dormant for decades. Buried beneath the ice of a dead planet, it now hummed with life. Inside it, something woke. Another ghost. Not Juno. Another soul. The voice was male this time. Designation: Ghost 7. Captain Vance Corps. Status: Earth. Gone. Protocol: Awaken. His eyes opened. Synthetic, but filled with pain. "The hunt begins," he said. Across space, dozens more pulses blinked into life. Inside Ghost One, Juno received the ping. Her screen lit up with one word: HFY inning. She smiled. "We're not alone anymore." And with that, she vanished again, cutting through the stars like a blade through silk. The hunt had begun. But she wasn't the prey. She was the reckoning. The wreckage from Tarsus 9 had been taken to a secret Imperial science lab, orbiting a frozen moon. Only trusted personnel were allowed near it. Guards stood at every door. Security drones hovered silently. The Empire wanted answers. Inside Lab Chamber 6, scientists gathered around a blackened metal panel, the one with the word "human" burned into it. "This isn't plasma damage," said Dr. Rinox, the lead scientist. His long yellow eyes scanned the word closely. "It's been cut with precision. Laser writing. Controlled. Deliberate." Another scientist, a short female named Arla, stepped closer. "Why would someone burn a word into the wall while destroying the station?" Renox turned slowly. "To send a message." Meanwhile, Admiral Voss, the Empire's head of military intelligence, was flying to the lab himself. He had served during the human wars, many years ago. Back then, humanity was a stubborn species. Wild, reckless, dangerous. But after Earth was destroyed, the galaxy assumed they were gone forever. Yet something about the recent attack disturbed him. The speed, the precision, the silence. He remembered how humans never went quietly. His ship landed outside the lab with a deep hum. Soldiers saluted him. He walked in, stiff and alert. "Show me the panel," he ordered. They led him to Chamber 6. He saw the word, and his heart skipped. "Human," he whispered. His voice cracked with old memories. "Impossible," he added quickly, trying to sound strong. "Earth was burned. Their cities turned to glass." Dr. Rinox shook his head. "Maybe not all of them. We also found this." He placed a sealed container on the table. Inside it floated a small piece of organic matter, part of a finger. Burnt, mutated, but still intact. Voss narrowed his eyes. "DNA." Renox nodded. "Yes, I ran the tests 3 times. It's human." At the same time, far away in a dusty outpost on a forgotten moon, an old man sat at the edge of a campfire. His skin was dark and wrinkled, his beard gray, his eyes tired. Locals called him Mad Garrick. They said he used to be a soldier in the Terran Defense Fleet. that he saw Earth fall, that he spoke to ghosts. A group of children sat near him, listening to his strange tales. "They think we're dead," he said, pointing to the sky. "But we're not. We're sleeping, waiting." The children laughed, but one boy stayed quiet. "What are we waiting for?" he asked. Garrick smiled slowly. The signal. The sky above shimmered. A tiny red light blinked in the distance, too fast for most eyes to catch. Garrick saw it, and he knew. "They're awake," he whispered. "The Guardians have returned." Back at the lab, chaos exploded. "Sir, motion detected," a soldier shouted. "Where?" Voss asked. "Inside the wreckage chamber." Everyone ran to the room where the remains of the destroyed station were stored. The panel that once said "Human" was glowing. Red lines lit up across its surface, like veins. "What's happening?" Raynox yelled. Then the panel spoke. A voice echoed through the chamber. Calm, deep, familiar, but not alive. "We remember you," it said. "We warned you. We watched. We waited." People froze. The voice continued. "The Empire destroyed Earth, but Earth is not a planet. Earth is people. And we remember." The lights flickered. Then the panel burned again. This time, a new word appeared. War. In the Imperial Palace, Emperor Xalax watched the footage in silence. His jaw clenched. "They're not ghosts," he growled. "They're angry." Admiral Voss stood beside him. "It's worse than that, Your Highness. They're organized." Xalax turned sharply. "Then we strike now. Find them. Erase them again." Voss didn't answer. He was thinking about Earth, about the last human warship he saw as a young officer. It had been small, quiet, and alone. But it had taken 5 destroyers with it. And now something faster, something stronger, was loose in space. And it had a voice. Deep in the void, the mysterious ship floated near a red dwarf star. Inside its glowing core, the voice whispered again. "They heard us. Good." And then it moved. A blur of motion. Destination: Imperial Core Worlds. Time to arrival: 27 hours. The Imperial Palace stood tall on the planet Varelian Prime. Its towers pierced the clouds like cold silver spears. The Empress sat in her crystal throne, a crown of starlight above her head and a cold fury burning in her eyes. 6 ships. Lost, she said softly. The hall fell silent. Ministers, admirals, and commanders dared not breathe too loud. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Just gone, she continued. No explosions. No escape pods. No answers. What does that sound like to you? No one answered. Except one. Justice, came the voice of Dalvox, stepping forward. The Empress narrowed her eyes. Careful with your tongue, Vox. He bowed slightly but did not look away. This was not war. It was a warning. The Empress rose from her throne. Her voice turned sharp. From whom? We have no war with Earth. That world is nothing but ash. Vox looked at her, and for the first time, there was no fear in his eyes. That ash remembers, he said. On the outskirts of the Tyran Nebula, Ghost One rested inside an old mining field. It had gone dark, completely powered down, hidden inside a cluster of asteroids. Inside, Juno stood in the memory chamber. The walls lit up with faces: Earth soldiers, civilians, children, cities lost, battles fought, bombings that shattered continents, archive files, truths the Empire had erased. She walked slowly, touching one face in the glowing wall, a girl with braids and an Earth school uniform. Her name was Nia, said the ship's eye. Age 9, crushed when orbital platforms fell on New London. The Empire called it a training misfire. Juno closed her eyes. Her voice trembled. We're going to remind them what that misfire cost. The AI paused. Ghost 7 has reached orbit around Varelian. Juno turned. It's time then. Inside a secret council room beneath the palace, Empress Varela met with her generals. "We can no longer pretend this is isolated," said General Marca. "We've scanned new heat signatures across 3 sectors. Stealth vessels, possibly from the same design." "Ghosts," muttered one advisor. She looked up sharply. "What did you say?" "The survivors call them that. Ghosts of Earth." The Empress clenched her jaw. "Earth is gone. But its fire still burns," came a voice from the shadows. A shadow moved. No alarms had been tripped. No sensors activated. But standing near the throne was Ghost 7. Captain Vancecore, once thought lost in the siege of Europa, now stood in armor of black and blue, eyes glowing faintly with synthetic rage. "You thought you could erase us," he said. Guards rushed forward. He moved faster, much faster. One twist, one step. All 6 guards fell before they fired a shot. "You killed billions," Vance said, stepping closer. "You taught the stars that justice dies with the weak. So now we rise from that grave." The Empress tried to run, but the palace walls trembled as a loud, unnatural hum filled the sky. Above Varelian, Ghost 1 had arrived. Juno didn't speak as she entered the upper atmosphere. She didn't fire weapons. She didn't aim to destroy the cities. She did something worse. She played the truth. Across every screen in the Empire, on billboards, on warships, on children's learning devices, the archives of Earth's destruction played on loop. Raw footage, unedited. Civilians crying. Soldiers screaming. Empire war machines bombing evacuation ships. Children suffocating under rubble. "This is who they are," Juno's voice echoed. "This is what they called necessary progress." People across the Empire froze. For the first time, they saw the truth, not the polished lies. Some cried. Others trembled. A few whispered the name Earth with guilt in their hearts. And a small few, they raised fists in silence. Inside the palace, Vance walked past the Empress. He didn't kill her. Instead, he whispered, "Your throne is broken, and your rule ends not with an army, but with the ghosts you tried to forget." Then he vanished, like smoke. Aboard Ghost 1, Juno received a signal. It was short, just a sentence. But it shook her. Thousands protesting in capital city, Imperial soldiers surrendering. She looked out at the stars. Not smiling, not cheering, just tired. "We're not finished," she said. The AI replied, "More ghosts are waking." Juno nodded. "Then it's time to build something better." On Earth's ruins, long thought uninhabitable, deep under the surface, green lights flickered. Children, worn underground, looked up at the screens. For the first time, they saw stars beyond the broken dome. And hope. In the cold, black silence of deep space, the Imperial border station Tarsus 9 floated like a watchful eye. It was quiet, too quiet. Commander Relvac stood near the central console, his 6-fingered hand tapping nervously. The sensors had detected something fast, faster than anything they had ever seen. "Report," Relvac barked. A junior officer spun around in his chair. His skin was pale blue, sweat shining on his forehead. "Sir, unknown object approaching Sector Theta. Speed, unmeasurable." It moved past 2 stations in less than 7 seconds. Relvac frowned. "Is it a glitch?" "No, Commander. I triple-checked. It's real. And it's heading straight for us." A cold silence filled the room. Outside the station's thick windows, stars twinkled calmly, unaware of the fear rising within the crew. Then the alarms screamed. Red lights flashed. Panels blinked and buzzed. The object had arrived. "It's here," the officer shouted. Relvac leaned over the console. A blur shot past the station. Too fast to see. Only a faint white trail remained. No energy signature. No radio signals. No ID code. Just speed. Then the lights died. Everything went dark. Tarsus 9 was silent again. 4 hours later, a rescue ship arrived. They found the station floating like a broken toy. Burned, twisted, half of it had vanished. Inside, the walls were scorched. Consoles melted. No life signs, not even bodies. But on one metal wall, something strange had been burned into the steel. 4 letters, written in ancient Terran English. HFY. The investigator, a tall, cold-eyed alien named Dalvox, stared at the word for a long time. He had read about this word once. In old war books, history records no one believed anymore. Human, one of the guards asked. Dalvox nodded slowly. Yes, a species believed to be extinct for over 50 years. Their planet was destroyed in the last galactic purge. But who would write this here? And why? Dalvox didn't answer. He walked to the broken window and looked out into the stars. Something was coming. He could feel it. Far from Tarsus 9, in a hidden part of space, the strange ship floated silently. It had no markings, no crew, no visible weapons. But deep inside its core, something glowed. A red pulse. Like a heartbeat, a voice whispered softly inside the ship. Target confirmed. Witness delivered. More shall follow. The ship turned. Stars stretched before it. And then it vanished again, faster than any eye could see. Back in the imperial capital, the emperor held an emergency meeting. Generals and scientists filled the room, each one whispering nervously. "This is a trick," one growled. "No human could survive this long." Another replied, "But what if it's real? What if they never died?" The emperor raised a hand. Silence filled the room. "Find out what this ship is. Who built it? Where it came from? I want answers." He looked at Dalvox. "You've studied Terran history. Could this be one of theirs?" Dalvox hesitated, then nodded. "If it is, we are not ready for what comes next." A strange hum echoed in the dark void between galaxies. There, in a forgotten system where no stars burned, the Empire's last secret was awakening. Beneath layers of armor and artificial muscle, Commander Severin opened his eyes fully for the first time in 100 years. His mind was sharp, cold, and clear, rebuilt for war. The room he stood in was empty, except for machines and weapons built for a single mission. "Locate Ghost One," he ordered. The computer responded instantly. Target confirmed. Intercept route uploaded. Estimated arrival: 9 hours. Severin smiled. "This war ends tonight." Above a quiet moon, the Ghost One hovered peacefully. Inside, Juno stood on the bridge with Kor and a small group of rebel leaders. They had just finished a strategy meeting. Many systems had joined their alliance. Fuel depots had been captured. Entire worlds had been freed from the Empire's grip. Hope was growing. But Juno couldn't shake the feeling in her chest, a tight knot that told her something was wrong. "AI, scan long-range space," she said. A pause. Then the AI answered, voice tense. "Unknown vessel approaching. Speed, extreme. Signature, partially human. Weapon load, maximum. Estimated time to contact, 8 hours. Kor frowned. "It's coming fast." Juno's eyes narrowed. "It's coming for us." Across the rebel network, systems lit up with warnings. A shadow moved toward them, one ship against many. But the sensors couldn't track it fully. It didn't follow normal physics. It bent around gravity. It moved like a ghost, and yet it burned like fire. The stories spread like wildfire. A super soldier, Empire's final weapon. Project Lazarus. Some didn't believe it. But Juno knew better. She had read the old records. Severin wasn't a myth. He was a nightmare, rebuilt by machines, trained to hunt without mercy, and designed to kill entire armies alone. Hours passed. The stars above the rebel moon shifted slightly. Then something cracked the sky. Like a comet of black metal, Severin's warship dropped into orbit, weapons armed, engines screaming. Inside Ghost One, red lights flashed. Juno stood at the front window, armor on, face calm. "Core," she said, "get the others to safety. I'm not leaving you. You must. If I don't stop him, this alliance dies. But if I do—" She didn't finish the sentence. Core nodded. "Then make it count." He gripped her hand once, then ran. Juno stood alone as Ghost One detached from the rebel base and rose into the sky. She met Severin's warship head-on. No words were exchanged, just weapons, strategy, and fire. The two ships danced through space like predators. Missiles screamed past one another. Plasma beams lit the black sky. Juno used every move she had learned. Twists, gravity dives, AI cloaking. But Severin kept coming. His ship was faster, stronger, colder. A direct hit slammed into Ghost One's side. Juno gritted her teeth, sparks flying from the console. Her shoulder bled, and smoke filled the cabin. "He's too fast," the AI warned. "Shields at 11%. Juno stood. Time to end this. She ejected the main core of Ghost One, a burning decoy heading in the opposite direction, and slid into the escape pod hidden inside the ship's back compartment. One move left. As Severin's warship chased the decoy, Juno launched silently in the other direction, toward Severin himself. She docked to his ship in mid-flight. She cut through its hull. She entered its steel heart, and she met him face to face. Severin stood like a mountain of death, half machine, half man, with glowing eyes and fists like steel hammers. "So," he said calmly, "you're Earth's ghost." Juno raised her blade. "No, I'm its fire." They fought. Fist met blade. Sparks flew. Walls cracked around them. Each strike echoed like thunder. Juno moved fast, using speed, not strength. But Severin adapted. He blocked her every move. He was stronger, nearly unbreakable. But Juno wasn't trying to win by power. She was stalling. And finally, she saw it. A crack in the reactor core behind him. Just enough. She darted sideways, ducked under his next strike, and jammed her blade into the wall. A chain reaction began. Alarms screamed. Lights flashed red. Severin lunged, grabbing her throat. "You'll die with me," he hissed. Juno smiled. "Then I die free." She hit the emergency eject on her armor. A pulse threw her back into the airlock just as the ship's core detonated behind her. A fireball ripped through the black sky. Hours later, Juno drifted in a rescue pod, barely conscious. A rebel ship picked her up. Core ran into the medical bay. "She's alive," he shouted.